Hey, what's up, folks? It's me, Derek, aka Deaf Sheep, and I know it's been a very long time. It's been a while, and don't worry, I've been thinking about all kinds of videos I want to try to do. The channel's still up and such. And as far as the ES Punk TTRPG, I will admit I've been in a slump mainly because job related stuff. So, but don't worry, I'm still doing like game dev stuff. And speaking of which, if you've seen the title, it's time for another TTRPG making tip or game tip or whatever. Um, so that being said, the tip I want to give today is something that might sound weird, but this is something I actually learned when doing both theater and well, just writing in general in the creative field and such. And that's when you make a product, when you write something or you create something, you need to have different perspectives. You need to come at a project as if you were A, the creator, B, the audience member and or player. And honestly that's pretty much it. In acting or theater, when I was directing or writing a play, I had to think in multiple views. Like for instance, I had to not just be the playwright, think how it was written, but I also think, okay, if I was the director, how would I direct this? But then also as an audience member, would this be worth my time? So if you're making a game, particularly let's say you're making a TTRPG or a card game or whatever, you got to think along the lines of let's say go back to the A. So A, creator, B, audience. And I would say C, also publisher slash producer. So we'll get that out of the way. Yay. So that being said, let's switch B and C for the sake of this. So for A, as a creator, when you're creating your project, you have to think along the lines of, does this sound good? This is, is this something that is presentable and such? And so you need to think about things like, of course, coherency, think about things like presentation and all of that. So you might have to get, if you're just writing, think about, the language and maybe look at some previous works and such, how stuff is written. When it comes to the art, you might need to think about the art presentation. Does the art style work, or is the UI or the UX, whatever? Does this all work? Does it work thematically? Does it work on a mechanic level and such? Then jump over to B. And you think about, is some thought, is this? I can't talk. Is this is it something worth producing slash publishing? Because the thing is, at the end of the day, if you want to try to get profit from this product, or you want to sell this, or you want to get this out there and get people to download it, you want to consider, is this worth getting? Is this worth selling? Because sometimes you might think to yourself, when you go to A, when you just have A, you're just going to be like, this is your baby, this is your project, you think it's perfect. But you also got to think along the lines of, again, is this worth selling? Because again, you might look at, say for instance, you want to make a tabletop RPG game that has, dragons and has like all these monsters, and you go out and battle and such, and you have a ragtag team or whatever. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like D&D. That sounds like trying to think of other ones, Pathfinder and such. So those are cool, but I mean, unless you have a hook or something that can grab people, it's not gonna really sell. It's gonna be like, okay, well, I can just play D&D. It's not worth it, I'm gonna like lose to that. So you gotta think along the lines of that. And then last but not least, you gotta think of yourself as the player slash audience member. And the thing is, again, like any product, any creator, they'll be like, when they have just A, okay, this is worth my time, blah, blah, blah. I will give this example. I can't remember the work, but once upon a time when I was going to school for screenwriting, script writing in general, I pretty much learned that when it comes to, say, writing a movie, if you roll a movie, you need to think, are the first 10 minutes worth it? Is it going to be worth my time going to see this movie? We might think, oh, I have this profound movie, I have this great movie, something unique and awesome, blah, blah, blah. But is it something that's worth your time? Is it something that you will actually go to the movie theater to go pay and watch? Because if it's like 2 or 3 hours long, is it worth that time? So, and the same goes for a game. Is this going to be worth your time? Are you actually going to pick up this game, present it to, let's say, your friends, if it's the tabletop game, whether it be a RPG or a board game or a card game, or is it something you're going to put in your game system or download onto your PC or whatever? Is this going to be worth the money? Is this going to be worth the time? Because otherwise, they might just be like, you know what, you really didn't need to do this, So that being said, think about, is this going to be worth it? And kind of linking back to my previous tip, think about playtesting. That's why playtesting works. And so I would honestly recommend, when you have these perspectives, particularly A and C, the creator and the audience member, you could include B as well to some extent when doing this, but we'll get to that. When you do A, you create the work, and then C, go playtest the game with other people, see if they like it, and have somebody run the game for you, and you play the game as well. Is this fun for you? And again, it might be the case that, like, maybe you make this game and you're like, I make this dream thing, whatever, and then you go play it. You might be like, I actually really enjoy playing this game. Like, this is a whole lot of fun. Or you might be like, sounds great on paper, not my cup of tea. Now, that being said, this might sound weird, but just because this might not be your cup of tea, it might be a thing like, maybe it's not my cup of tea because this is the type of game I usually play, but other people really like this type of game. So, and you might be like, I don't really usually care for these games, but I'm having fun to an extent. So I think this is okay. And hence why you want to go back to B. Think about, as a producer, as a publisher, is this worth it? Is it worth selling? Is it worth, a price, whatever? Because if you go in to B and you're like, okay, I made A, and then like, okay, I think this is, this will sell. If you present this to a publisher or a producer or whatever, they're gonna look at this and like, is this really worth it? And if you never consider C, you have a problem. I probably should have switched C and B. That I think about, like, it should have switched them back, but it's all right. But that being said, like I said, the major thing out of all of this is have different perspectives. There's a whole lot more to consider. You could branch these out. Like, for instance, A, you could be like sub A, like, A1, the writer, A2, the artist, AC, the designer, whatever. And then, sorry. And then again, you might want to consider, for instance, would be, publisher, internet publisher, if this was all live, this was, on shelves and such. Even you could consider with B, somebody who, the vendor, like, will this work with certain vendors? Is this worth putting on shelf or putting on a certain website? And then finally, we'll see, you have, like I said, you have the player, but maybe it might be, you might group it as certain demographics, age demographics, ethnicity, genders, whatever it may be. So you might have to consider, Do these type of people play, or these type of people, whatever it may be. That being said, thank you for listening. I do hope that, this helps you to some extent. And like I said before, I do hope to create more. If you like this, let me know. Um, Typical thing of like, like, subscribe, and all of that. And you just have a wonderful, blessed day. Take care.